Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, people of all ages, welcome back to the Sticky Floors podcast. I am one of your hosts, CJ. I am joined by Mr. Will. Tonight, we are talking about the Netflix film Carry On. Me and Mr. Will been having a great time getting ready to talk about this one, trying to figure out what we can and can't say on television, on YouTube, without getting in trouble. we're gonna try. We're gonna try to thread that line tonight. Mr. Will, what's up? How are you doing tonight, man?
Oh man, CJ said, we're trying to find a way of saying what you can't say on YouTube. It automatically made me think about you can't do that on television
Remember
with
that show?
Nickelodeon.
Remember that?
And
Remember that?
so like now catching flashbacks. Oh man, from like my childhood, the pre-production meeting, the cutting room floor
Right,
edits, like, oh man,
right.
we would not be able to be on
Nah, this gonna be over
TV.
quick. Uh, defamation lawsuits, you know what I'm saying? Cancel culture, you'd be a part of all of that. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like that show. You ever see that thing on VH1? Like, I was a criminal, and them dudes be like, they telling the stories about how they were criminals, and one dude was like, I went and got plastic surgery. He was like stealing the identities of like homeless people to open mortgage
Yeah,
accounts.
yeah, seen that
That
tree.
show was crazy, y'all. I watched that at Thanksgiving. That was riveting. I was like, man, the things that people think about, right? Like, why would you even think about that?
I guess the what would it do is, like, I'd give
Yeah,
surveys, and I'd get
yeah,
their social
yeah,
and
yeah. He
everything,
was stealing people's identities to open up
and then you come
mortgage accounts. Then he got plastic surgery. Like, he did all that. He's still,
he
America.
said
Only in America. You can come back from anything, man. As
the
long as you
dude
don't mess with interns or like staff. Anything else, dog, everybody knows you can't do that. They'll get you for that. But for everything else, you can do it and get away with it. See, we're right on the line already. Right? We're right on the line. Okay, look, we're gonna pivot to the actual show. So if this is your first time listening to us, it's not normally like this. It isn't. But tonight is a little different. We're doing the Netflix movie Carry On. And one of our listeners actually reached out to us and asked us what we thought about the whole idea of Netflix buying Warner Brothers catalog, or in the process of buying Warner Brothers catalog. So, like from our listeners, we always want to try to incorporate, what the people want. So just to set the table, actual information. So Netflix right now is in the process of trying to acquire the Warner Brothers studio assets, and they've put in an offer to get from Warner Brothers basically their entire Warner Brothers catalog, as well as the HBO Max catalog of IP. So, for example, Netflix would own all of the DC universe. They would own the Harry Potter stuff. They would own the Game of Thrones stuff, the entire HBO library and their studio infrastructure. So they would have The Sopranos, they would have The Wire, they would have all those shows that HBO had, like the White Lotus, everything that HBO has done a great job of building would become Netflix property, and it would move to Netflix. Now, of course, Netflix is doing this because this gives them what you would consider like instant legacy. So Netflix has been in the business of creating their own material. They've done things like Stranger Things, which has been very successful. They've put on, the Cobra Kai, which, I know we both liked, but that's been
yeah.
there. Squid Game. So they've created a lot of IP and put it there, or they've worked with developers to put things there. But now they're talking about getting things that have, 70, 75 years of background to them, and it would take them to the next level. Now, the main competitor in this is Paramount. So Paramount, which now has Paramount Plus and has their own streaming platform, has made what is considered a hostile takeover bid, where they are offering shareholders more money to accept that bid. Now, as it stands today, Warner Brothers board of directors has asked their shareholders not to accept the deal because there are some concerns about how the debt structure would be managed, whether or not Paramount can actually offer what they are saying they can. And now there's been recently some concerns that some of the funding for Paramount's deal comes from entities outside of the United States, as their funding partners step away from the table. That's kind of the business aspect of this. But for today's show, me and Mr. Will, we wanted to talk more about like the impact on the movie experience. And I just want to preface it by saying this part. we love movies, right? And we love the movie theater experience. I think this year I will have gone to have seen 17 films in the theater. Maybe to some people that's a lot, maybe to some people that's a little, but I know like I like doing that. And I can say that in those films that I've seen, there's only been like 3 or 4 times where I can say the theaters were actually packed when I went to see it. And I'm usually seeing like prime time, Friday, Thursday, Saturday night shows. So I'm not there at like, 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday. But when I've gone there, what I have seen is that unless the film was Sinners or Superman or Wicked for Good or Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, those other 13 films, there was hardly anybody in there. And I think the question that we're wrestling with as a society right now is what's the place of movies? What's the place of the movie going experience? And there's a great deal of concern about whether Netflix is going to further disrupt that by not allowing things to be in theaters for a long time, or maybe not at all. And with all that said and everything, Mr. Will, what's your thoughts on this?
I've gone to the movies. I just checked. So this is twofold. One, I'm a Stubbs premium member,
so
I
you're
pay
in the
for
game. Yeah.
That's one.
You're 10 toes. You're 10 toes down. Yeah.
Yeah, like I
You're
got
who I call them.
Yeah, I got money in the game. I got money
true
on
to
the game.
Right.
So that's one,
Right.
and it's an annual fee that renews
Yeah.
itself. So I don't even think about it. Like it's just automatic.
Right. So like coming through the velvet rope and everything, like you come in that joint.
Oh, no! You want to peep the velvet rope
Yeah,
joint?
you coming.
They rope off the section, as you know,
Yeah.
and so I go straight to the special
Right.
thing,
I got
points, the reward for like getting stuff. Like I got buckets and things like that, like the commemorative stuff for
You get
like
that stuff
Fantastic
too.
Four.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Do you throw
So,
like some bread to the poor people as you're walking by, or throw some M&Ms to them or something like that, or
let them eat cake.
right? You throw Milky Ways at people, hit the little kids in the head in the poor section.
No, we eat Milky Ways. Y'all get milk duds,
There it
yo.
is. There it
We
is.
don't want them things.
Right? Is it people saying, "Please, sir, can you pour some Coke in my hand?" Is it like, is that your experience too? Like,
Man, some more, please. Oh man! Oh, all seriousness, man. I've been to the theater 18 times this past year.
Okay.
So from February to literally October, I've been to 18 different movies. So just do the math. I'm usually going with at least one other person,
Right.
if not 2 to 3
Right.
other people. So like that adds up.
No doubt.
And you know, I also have pretty much all of the things that you just mentioned. I have an HBO Max account. I have a Netflix account.
Yep. You got Disney Plus kicking your back in.
Yeah, I got the Hulu joint. Yeah, I got all that.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So like, and this is from a person who I used to have DirecTV.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and I had that for like 20 years, 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm really big on the entertainment aspect of watching different things, consuming different types of mediums. And I'm not gonna kid you. Like prior to Netflix and everyone else rearranging things, I was one of those individuals that would share my information.
Mm-hmm.
So
they almost put you in almost put you in Netflix jail. They almost got you.
Yeah. So that's but I'm keeping it a buck. Like I'm one of those individuals. Like part of doing that was not necessarily. I wasn't thinking about alleviating costs. I'm thinking, oh, I have a daughter who goes to school out of state.
Yeah.
Oh, I have another daughter who goes to school who lives on campus. So I'm thinking like, oh, you know, my kids want to watch whatever they can't afford to have another bill on top of whatever it is. And if they're sharing whatever, and if they're sharing it with their friends, whatever have you, it's just the cost of doing business. I say that to say, you know, stateside, we spend a lot of money on entertainment, whether it be going out, so dinner and a movie, you know, date night, whatever have you, or, you know, entertaining with your family and your friends, whatever, because even the pay-per-view stuff with the fights.
Yeah.
So, you know,
that's a great point. I'm going to come back to that. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
Different entities have shifted. Like UFC is no longer partnering with ESPN. So ESPN, Hulu, Disney, they took a major hit as far as revenue, another stream of revenue coming in. And now UFC, I think they partnered with Paramount, I think it is, or another entity, I forget.
Or Peacock or something, right? It's on something else, right?
Yeah. So now you're thinking about how money is changing, and you're not talking about tens of thousands or even tens of millions. You're talking hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. So with that being said, you know, you're looking at, from a value estimation, and a couple of notes I want to point out. That's approximately $82.7 billion in cash and stock
That
with
Netflix is
this deal.
offering to Warner Brothers.
With
Yep.
this deal. And so this was announced early December this month. So CJ mentioned a few, but you're also talking about Harry Potter and the controversies with that whole trend.
Yeah.
I mean, and so forget Harry Potter, Game of Thrones. How many people are so much into Game of Thrones?
And another series about to start, I think in January or something like that. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So like, they want these legacy projects, but what comes along with that by them interfering, if you will, or becoming the new subsidy of that merger.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about not only that, the assets acquired by this. Obviously, CJ mentioned Warner Brothers and HBO/HBO Max, and now you have the DC universe. But I think people forget too, Harry Potter's big, so I mentioned that. But what about Looney Tunes?
They're going to own
all that comes
all
with
the
it.
Warner Bros. Yeah.
And that goes back to at least 100 years. So now you're talking about Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd, all of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just the merchandising with that.
It's a great, I mean, if you're going to look at, I think if I'm looking at it objectively, I can absolutely understand why Netflix wants to do it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Because the IP that you're
strategic
getting,
goal.
the IP that you're getting is incredible. But why? One of the things that, so we're on different social media platforms, and we see what people are saying on Threads or X about the deal. A lot of concern from some people at large are very concerned about it.
Yeah.
What do you attribute some of that concern to in terms of like?
Oh, that's easy.
What if Netflix gets all these kind of things?
No, that's easy. I was watching this documentary about, I forget the platform, but it started by this young guy out in Brooklyn or the Bronx, somewhere in a gentrified area of New York, where typically it was
that's all Brooklyn now,
so-called minorities. Yeah. So he starts this joint, and he was hit with heavy fines to the point where he had to conduct his business overseas. I just can't remember the platform, but he manages to get President 45's son on board to be part of his board of trustees.
Okay.
So now there's that intermingling of politics and business, and the blatant, like, hey, quid pro quo. If I intermingle with this family, or if I connect up, or I link up with this family, I'm going to be paid in not just money, but favoritism, heads up on certain alerts. I'll be able to influence regulations, laws, policies going forward, because I have now such and such's ear because his son is now with me. We've talked about it before in private, as far as like politicians saying, hey, no insider trading, but yet when something goes down, they remove stock, or they sell stock, or acquire stock. How are you making laws and regulations the same people that can also give themselves pay raises? Nonetheless, so you're talking about antitrust scrutiny. Now you're talking about labor and creative concerns. Different unions like the WG are going to be affected. Producers are going to worry about job losses, lower wages, reduced creativity, lack of diversity, or less amount of diversity. And despite Netflix saying, no, that's not going to happen, there is no pro-consumer deal on the planet. In some way, shape, or form, the consumer is always going to pay. It may not be immediately, but later on. Hence, you have all these individuals. Oh yeah, you want to have no ads? Now you got to pay this.
Yeah, you pay.
But don't we already have that with cable?
Yep.
So what's the difference?
So wait,
this was originally.
So can I jump in, because there's two things you said that I think are important, and I don't want to take the position of I'm defending Netflix. That's not where I want to be.
I'm just spreading information.
No, I got you. I got what I'm going to say is going to sound like that's going to come across that way. So, like you said, like, okay, I'm not the AMC Stub special member. They send a car to my house to come pick me up and bring me to the showings, right? But when you go to the movies, you're right. Like, you go to the movies, you buy tickets alone, you're at about $30 to $40, right? Now, if you go IMAX or 3D, if you can stand and be in a 3D theater, that's like putting you at 50 before you've even gotten there, right? That's not the gas. That's not the M&Ms that they charge you $5 for. That's not the $6 Coke, all that stuff, right? You're easily $75 to $100 if you take your family out with you to a movie theater, right?
Easy.
Netflix right now is about $20-something a month, which is a lot, right? Depending on and it varies by what package, as you said.
Yeah.
But you can make a case that even if Netflix price went up, it would still be less than what someone would pay by going to the movie theater, certainly as much as people like you and I do. That's the first thing. And that's one part. But the second thing is like the diversity issue, the diversity of films and content part. We've done this show. We're about to do 105 episodes, right? We've done several Netflix films on here, right? On this show.
Yeah, easily.
2 of them that we've done, They Clone Tyrone and The Harder They Fall. We've expressed that those, I would have loved to have seen those in theaters. But I think that the calculations of the movie business made it such that someone decided, maybe wrongly, that those movies would not have made as much money, certainly would not have been exposed to as many people on as much of a consistent basis as they have by being on Netflix. And those stories that they're talking about, whether it's a black cowboy story or conspiracy theories to destroy, like, black people in America, are probably not major motion picture films that Netflix has created a space for those to be there. So I just want to say that when we're talking about the idea of the diversity of films, because I do think that Netflix does create a platform for that type of material that otherwise maybe wouldn't be there.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, these films are there because it's evident. You could go right now to join up.
Right, they're on there.
So evident. However, I would caution and I would also argue that those movies are there, are put there by default, and that they are there to garner the attention and the support of a specific demographic.
Of course.
So the individuals who are part of the African diaspora who want to see more black movies or more melanated centric dominated roles by those type of people, everybody wants to see themselves on screen. That's why they did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the jobs that come with it, the fresh experience of, this is something new and this is exciting, that would garner attention, and then it would spread throughout. Yeah. I came here to see They Clone Tyrone, but now I'm watching reruns of Living Single. Now I'm watching the latest Dave Chappelle Netflix special. Yeah. So the aftermath, the after effects of that would remedy throughout all of Netflix. And now you find yourself past the, 2-week, 7-day, or even 30 months
free subscription. Yeah, they got you.
Yeah, now you're in. They got you.
Yeah.
Because now you want to see what happens in the latest installment of, pick your favorite black show. You know what I mean? Like, so I would caution on that. I would also say that we've already seen this before. UPN, aka Channel 9,
very good
in the tri-state area.
Very good point.
With when they had a plethora of quote unquote black shows and such. Fox did it with from anything from what started as a so-called crude, crass, white trash, quote unquote, with Married with Children, all the way to New York Undercover with the Michael DiLorenzo, Living Single, Lee Gilba on also New York Undercover, Lauren Velez, all of them, and then even in turn with what was it? Man, I'm drawing a blank on the show. Martin. Can't forget that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Then once Rupert Murdoch and the rest of them made arrangements to get the NFL on there, all those shows were going instantaneously. And even Warner Brothers has already have experience with this with Channel 11. It used to be WPIX. You could watch the
they had
Yankees.
That frog on there dancing too, which was
and then all of a sudden they had that minstrel show of so-called black TV shows and such.
They had the joint with
so
Flex. They had the joint with Flex on there. They had the joint with Malcolm Jamal Warner, rest in peace. And,
that was on UPN. That was Homeboys in Outer Space you were talking about, and Grown Ups. The two separate shows.
Eddie Griffin, that show that he had was on it. And they got rid of. No, you're absolutely right.
And then in turn, that gave way to, like, it's almost like they did a pivot, and because vampires and werewolves were popular with the whole Twilight series. They started putting in all the teen type stuff. You know what I mean? I forget the name of the show, but it was the mother and her daughter, and they were having angst and everything. They had Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm not going to let you talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm not criticizing. I'll fight over Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now that was my joint. Like, yo.
No, avid watcher too. I even watched the whole Angel series.
So did I. They did him dirty at the end, but not good.
But that gave way then to having the whole Arrowverse.
Yeah.
So I'm saying like these companies strategically market to a specific demographic. And then once they have that viewership, once they have that loyal fan base, gotcha. And now I can do whatever I want. I boosted the numbers.
Yeah.
I have the ratings. I have the revenue. And now I can really do what I want to do. And I would caution that maybe Netflix would do the same thing. In fact, I think they would.
Yeah.
I think that they'd be like, hey, there's no reason for us to now cater to these individuals. Sure, we'll have an occasional show here and there, but there's no reason for us to do that. Tubi does it right now.
Yeah, Tubi is
1
wild.
minute.
Tubi is the wildest joint on top.
But think about that though. But infamously, they have all these degenerate TV shows and such on there, but they're old shows. They're not new shows.
Yeah.
You had to make a certain amount of money in order to put a show into production to get it on that platform. Now that it has risen up, now the cost has gone up.
Yeah.
We see it here in real life with gentrification, redlining, and all of this gerrymandering going on, and all of a sudden it switches.
Yeah.
So the people who used to live there, they can't afford it anymore. The people who used to and really put on Netflix, I remember when Netflix was $10.
Yeah, so
No,
that was a long time. This is a long, but this is the thing though, right? If the issue is a cost issue, then I understand that 1,000%. Everything that you said, especially about how Warner Brothers, like the Channel 11, I remember that they absolutely did that. Same the Fox Network, and then like obviously what became this today. I do think though that when I look on Netflix and in full transparency, I think like a year or two ago, I was telling you I was going to get rid of Netflix altogether because I was like, I didn't see the value in it. But what I have seen is there has been this expansion of now stories and movies and shows that are coming from people in the diaspora, right? Which is a good thing, right? I think because it's platforming ideas and creators and actors and actresses that maybe normally would not have gotten at least that exposure.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed. They get exposure.
Right. They're getting exposure. And the other thing is, I like being able to look on there's an algorithm behind Netflix that is intentionally tailoring things for what I want to see. Right. So it's not by mistake that, this thing and this is December now. And I'm getting the, hey, do you want to watch the Eddie Murphy Christmas joint? Yes, I do. Thank you. How'd you know? that's how'd you know that? And it tells you, because you like they cloned Tyrone and The Harder They Fall. We think you'd like the story about this black guy at Christmas. Guess what? You're right. Thank you. That's what you think. That's what I want to see, right? So I think that there's value in that. Like earlier this year, I went and saw this movie, Love Brooklyn, right? And I told you about it. It was good film, small film, really like a different type of black romantic drama, a genre that you hardly ever see on major motion pictures, right? When I saw it in the theater, it's me and two Asian dudes sitting next to me watching it. That's it, right? They're looking at me like, is this how it is for y'all? Yeah, it is how. This is how we love each other, right?
The ambassador for black love.
All the black questions of the world. It's like, I got to answer them, right? Yes. It's like, I can't count on one hand the people that have actually seen it, right? If that exists on Netflix, millions of black people will see it. Black people, white people, Asian people, everything. The two Asian guys, they can come to my house. We can watch it together and have a good time and talk more in depth about it. There's something about creating that, at least for those things, that I think has to be considered in this, because I'll be honest, if Warner Brothers is owned by Paramount, you may not never ever see like a Sinners, because Sinners is a Warner Brothers if it's on the platform. So those are the things that I'm thinking about.
It's not just that though. You got to remember, if Home Depot and Lowe's teams up, Hammer's going to cost $1,000.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the equivalent.
Good point.
This is the equivalent.
Absolutely good point about them. And absolutely true. Very true.
So you are talking about antitrust, anti-monopoly type of laws that are already supposed to be in practice.
Very true.
I mean, look at the NFL. The NFL at one point was labeled as an LLC, and then it was a private domain. Excuse me, and then it was a nonprofit.
It's a nonprofit organization. That's crazy.
So how do you manage that? They pay.
That's crazy. Yes.
You know what I mean? And they don't get audited.
Yeah, but you pay all your taxes. So that's the important thing. Shout outs to the feds, because
they're going to get their money one way or the other. I mean, I remember watching, ironically enough, a WB cartoon with the Joker, Batman joint, where he said, "Yo, I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy enough to go against the IRS."
How about that?
So
how about that?
So
the IRS. So
the
IRS is tougher than Batman.
So, you know, think about that. Put in its proper context. The irony should not be lost upon anyone that a WB character essentially is saying this
Yeah.
about government.
Yeah.
And then I would also argue, though, you know, look, in all fairness, we live in a capitalistic society based upon consumerism.
No question.
So it would behoove me to be like, hey, get as much money as you want. You know, like if you can and it's legal
Mhm.
and you're paying your dues and you're doing what must be, then so be it. But this doesn't feel like that. This feels like a bunch of little boys who are mad that somebody else got the latest G.I. Joe figure. And now rather than get the same toy, they want that person's toy.
Mm.
You can't have it. I got to have it. For what? You already own X, Y, and Z. Do what you need to do with that. This is why Sony is garbage. Sony's garbage because they saw Marvel doing something and they were like, yeah, we have Spider-Man. Nah, 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 nah. You can't have it.
Yeah.
But you're not doing anything with it. So give it up. And this is the same thing now.
But I mean, like, why can't, once again, yeah, I'm not, all right, I'm forget it, because I'm not going to be the Netflix defender in this.
No, but you don't sound like that.
Yeah.
You're just offering different perspectives.
I just think that, I mean, the part that you're mentioning about monopolies, absolutely, that is true. And absolutely the costs do go up when that happens. I just don't know if there's a way to get around that. I mean, like you mentioned Disney Plus, Disney, Hulu, ESPN, that's all Disney. That's all one company owning those three different platforms that separately used to cost money. Now it's one thing. And you're right, the cost of Disney Plus has gone up when we first started watching it, right? But what happens if what's the alternative to that? Like how do you maintain the IP? How do you create the stories that people see if it's not in the hands of this major distributor company? Now, to be fair, let me just say this last part. There is a possibility that what happens with artificial intelligence can dramatically change that. You and I talk all the time about how people are creating these little Star Wars videos and movie things that are better, way better than stuff that has been produced by Disney for Star Wars for the last 10 years, right? So maybe that's the way out. Maybe that's like the way to do it. I know I've also seen this thing where people are now creating like micro series on Netflix, you know, like where, I mean, on Netflix, on like YouTube, where, you know, people just get together, they build something like organically, 35 episodes, and it kind of builds to something. So maybe that's the alternative to the high cost model that I agree that we're both getting into now.
You know, even in that space, it allows for a creative outlet for those individuals that like they would do something less constructive. From being in their parents' basement, not doing anything except wasting their life away, to actually committing crimes.
Yeah.
So, you know, I get that this is a safe space in order to act upon those creative influences. But just remember, Hulu, Disney, and ESPN at one point wanted to purchase Fubo.
Yeah.
Soccer.
It's Fubo, right?
Sorry.
Yeah, you was thinking of
Fubo.
The orange jean outfit.
The orange pants.
You was thinking about that.
Cross colors and all that. And then at the same time, they wanted to purchase the outright full joint of Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to get everything that they wanted with that. So I just worry about all these individuals operating like Rockefeller with Standard Oil.
Yes.
I mean, we've already seen this.
It's a legitimate concern.
When are we going to learn that what Kanye has the song out for a reason? No one man should have all that power.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're getting to is that macro, this seeps into other areas where you have companies literally purchasing houses. So now everyone becomes a renter. You will have now this market where people have 75-year mortgage terms.
Yeah, which is crazy.
So the mortgage will outlive you.
Yeah, I know.
Your kids are going to inherit it.
Yeah.
When does it stop?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a fine balance between where you can be a good business and make a profit and not feel like you're raking somebody over the coals and turning them upside down and shaking all the change out of their pockets. Like when do we reach that happy medium?
No, I got you.
That's my main concern.
No, it is a completely legitimate concern. And I also think if the cost basis for all this is the consumers like me and you concerned, that's absolutely going to happen. Like there's, my question is like, in some ways has Netflix figured out that even for people like me and you, the cost of going to the movies is ultimately more expensive than what this subscription is going to cost. And if that's the case, maybe I would prefer to just pay the subscription cost as opposed to going there. And maybe that works.
That won't
Maybe it
happen. You
doesn't.
know why it's not gonna happen? Because you have collectors. So the same people that buy vinyl, that buy cassette tapes,
Okay.
that buy
Yes.
CDs are gonna be the same people that go to the movies.
Yes.
The same people that are like, hey, Black Widow is coming out. Here's the first female-driven superhero movie from Marvel.
Mhm.
Let me go out to support that. And then you're gonna have somebody
Yes.
try and stab them in the back, like on that Scarlett Johansson joint, and say, "Nah, direct TV after."
Well, it was
no,
during
straight
COVID
TV.
too, though. That was COVID.
Mm-mm.
COVID was
I
part
think
of it.
I think that's the socially acceptable means by which they used in order to facilitate that. But that hasn't stopped them since from pushing things real quick. Remember, it didn't stop at Black Widow. It escalated with a whole bunch of other movies to the point where Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were like, yo, we're just going to go straight and work deals with Netflix, get our own studio, whatever.
Mhm.
And that's why you had the movie we reviewed,
Triple Frontier.
Triple Frontier,
Yeah. Another one, right? We've done a couple,
yeah.
right? So, and here's the other thing. I do think that the event style movies will always be in the
Oh, yeah.
theaters. Like, you're right. People are gonna go see Black Widow, but Black Widow also has is fortunate to be part of this extended Marvel Universe storyline and storyline, period, right? But like I was saying in the beginning, like, yeah, Superman, the theater's packed, but it's Superman. You know what I mean? Wicked
But
for
then,
good,
good
the
point.
theater's packed because it's wicked for good. You know, like when I go see the Avatar's gonna be packed because it's Avatar. But when we did Black Bag, we did The Amateur, when we did Magazine Dreams, all very good movies, by the way. Man, you could throw a whole bag of M&Ms and not hit anybody in the theater because there was nobody in there for those things. So those
Because
films, they might have to be on these platforms in order to be viewed and be appreciated.
no, because we have to change the paradigm from it being about making $100 million profit for a show. We have to change the paradigm to where, you know what, it's not about the blockbuster franchise movie like Peep Game. Scarlett Johansson had a movie prior over the summer, and that joint went wood. I think it made like $6 million.
You know, I'm talking about Jurassic.
No.
Okay.
Then she puts out Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And that joint goes crazy.
Yes, but
they didn't go to see Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali. They went to go see them dinosaurs.
Yes.
So studios will argue we don't have superstars anymore. The last superstar, Tom Cruise, he's done making Mission Impossible movies.
Maybe.
So now their argument will be, maybe knowing him,
Yeah.
but they'll argue that, hey, sure, we'll only have limited engagement blockbuster movies for those who want to go to the movie theater. If you want to watch anything else, you gotta go to Netflix or whatever have you.
Yeah.
So they want everything. They want all your money.
Yeah.
So they will never stop when there's a means by which they can get everything. If you can control the disease and the cure, they want the bullets, the Band-Aids, and the means by which to heal you.
Absolutely.
And the way drug dealers get the come up is they give you a free taste. Yeah, I'll give you a sample. Yeah. And then I got you hooked.
That's a
and
subscription.
Now you come back.
That's a subscription. All right. So yes. And we're gonna see how this plays itself out. We have certainly given a lot of time to this thing. Ironically enough, we're about to talk about a Netflix film, right?
But that's all the reason why.
Right now, yeah. So all right, so we're gonna pivot here. I think your last statement about the question of where it is enough is a good ending point. Obviously, this does start to become like the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail.
Yeah.
It is. That's definitely a part of it, no question. Let's talk about Carry On. And we're going to go just after the summer, we'll just go straight to the cake.
Carry On is a tense Netflix thriller set on a packed Christmas Eve inside a major airport. The story follows Ethan Kopech, a TSA officer whose routine shift is shattered when an unseen antagonist contacts him through an earpiece. Threatened with dire consequences, Ethan is forced into a moral trap that centers on allowing a mysterious carry-on bag to pass security. As time ticks down and crowds surge, the film establishes a catastrophic, high pressure atmosphere rooted in everyday vulnerability.
There it is. There it is. So look, this movie's on Netflix.
Yeah.
First and foremost, it's been on there. It's been on there since
Dun,
December.
dun.
It's been on there. Right. It's been on there since December of last year. It's very much like a Die Hard film. We're doing movies. These next two movies we're gonna do like Christmas vibes. If you're watching us on YouTube, you see Mr. Will has got the YouTube. Got that YouTube. He's got the Raiders Christmas hat on, spreading Christmas cheer.
Hey, but if Netflix wants to sponsor us, I could rock a Netflix hat.
Right. Holler at us, please, because we're prepared to talk about this at great lengths.
Yes.
Yo, so let me just jump into the cake I got here on this one. So it's like a Die Hard. This movie is like this movie is like a couple of movies. This movie is like Die Hard, it's like Training Day, it's like Mission Impossible, it's like Collateral, and it's like Speed. That was the other one. You know, like remember Speed, he's on the thing. The whole idea, all of those movies work, and at a certain level, this movie film works too. And I think it's because it borrows from there. One of the things I like is the main character, Ethan, how in the beginning, he tries to use technology to try to get out of the situation. Like he tries to use his phone, he tries to use his watch,
Allow that.
he tries to use all these
Allow
things.
that.
I like how the movie was very modern in terms of how people would try to get out of the situation, and the fact that Jason Bateman's character would let him do it. I like the interplay between Ethan's character and the traveler. I think that's some of the best parts of the film to me, is when they're forced to talk to each other. And then I like how as the movie kind of goes on, the stakes just keep getting higher. I think that's like what kind of just keeps you attached to it. So that's my cake. What you got on yours?
Oh man, first of all, going back to your introduction of the phone and the watch, man, that is a great product placement. Apple
products,
man.
right? Yeah. How about that?
And this is why
it's there. Yeah.
And this is why I'm like, yo, they could afford to lower the cost, because they advertised the new Apple iPhone 17. They introduced the new iPhone watch. So therefore, like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
But with that being said, giving props to the product placement, I love the cast. I think Jason Bateman is truly underrated, man.
So do I.
I think
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that he gets busy in everything I've seen him of late. He's killed it. I definitely like Taron Egerton. I'm more comfortable with seeing him as the British spy, though. However, but this is a nice change of pace for him as well.
And the Kingsman,
and then there's the
Kingsman movies.
Yeah, Kingsman joints. Yeah, and then there's a whole series of individuals that like I'm like, oh, I seen you grow up on Andy and Ally on Disney Channel with Sofia Carson.
Yeah,
I've seen Theo Rossi as a villain in so many different things. Danielle Deadwyler. I've seen her in a bunch of stuff. Dean Joseph Norris is a character.
Sorry, good. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was say Danielle Deadwyler. She was also in The Harder They Fall.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've seen her in a whole thing where she played Cuffy, rather. So I'm just like, these are people that I'm like, oh, that's such and such. Or even Shanika Wallace, where he was in the revised or remix of White Men Can't Jump, where he played Sidney Dean. You know, and then there's Curtis Cook, who's in The Shy. He was playing the major villain in that. So like seeing all these characters gave me a sense of familiarity and comfort and nostalgia. So it made me want to actually tune in more. I definitely like the grounded realism, because the stakes were pretty much like, hey, this guy's threatening my pregnant girlfriend, fiance, soon to be wife. I'm not going to jeopardize that. And who hasn't been there where they feel like their arms being twisted and they don't know which way to go? You know, that paralyzing fear also made it more relatable. A sense of urgency to get the task done, to try and scheme your way out of it. And this is somebody who seemed like an everyman. He didn't have raging, bulging muscles, and you knew that he could just overpower the guy. Like he had to think, and would he submit, and would he appease him totally? You know, you're talking about, he kept asking him, was it a bomb? So I love that the stakes were very grounded and real. And then last but not least, I love the pace and the steady escalation of what they were revealing along the way. Like, who would have thought that the guy trapped in the van was married to the guy who was carrying the bag? I never saw that coming. You know what I mean? So like switching it up, or even the means by which, you know, they managed to incorporate like him thinking on his toes, and you know, Kopech has to pour the alcohol into the cup, and they're thinking like, oh,
Oh
it's to
yeah,
get his job,
I love that scene. How he hasn't
and
figured
you've been
that one out.
acting
Yes.
shady all day, and I can't figure you out.
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, I loved how all of a sudden he had to be very intuitive,
Mhm.
witty, charismatic. Like, he had to display all things of his personality, which just became innate.
Yeah.
And then the final reveal was he wanted to be a cop, but he lied on the polygraph. He was trying to protect his father, who isn't pro-family.
Mhm.
Like, his dad wanted to do this. He idolized his dad. The lesson he learned from that, which we have to be careful as parents, is, you know, yeah, you're going to get kicked down, but you got to get up. But instead, you know, is like, oh, you just want to lie down dead next to your father?
Yeah.
That we have to be mindful of. So the morals and the themes that were passed down in that.
No doubt.
Just thanks,
No
fam.
doubt, man. Yo, I agree with all of those points. There's just three things that I just want to hit with this. You talked about Jason
Yeah.
Bateman. I agree with you 100%. Jason Bateman. First of all, I love Jason Bateman in Ozark.
Yeah.
I love him in Black Rabbit. That's also on
Yo,
Netflix.
great recommendation. Thank you.
Yo, it's great, fast-paced series, right? And then, you know, of course, going back to Arrested Development, he's just a funny person in that whole
Yeah.
thing. So he's very versatile. I think in this film, I like him as the mastermind part, but once he becomes like, I've got to be physical with these characters,
Yeah, it's not believable.
he's not as believable. And it's almost like he would be better as the person sitting behind the physical person, or he needed somebody else. It was kind of a little bit of a breakdown on that in terms of him being the ultimate, or at least the villain that you really see. So that was one of the things I didn't love too much. The whole attitude that people have about the idea of there being a bomb or a nerve agent in a airport and just keeping things kind of moving once that's even a threat is like, and
It's
everybody's
Christmas. You got millions of people.
right, and everybody's saying, "Yo, it's Christmas Eve, man." So what? So if everybody dies, it's all right. Like, come on, that was crazy. The plot does sort of break down the more that you really think about it. Fight scene between the cop, when she's fighting the guy in the car, hilarious, but it looks hilarious, like how that scene
It's
goes.
goofy.
And there's no way they're surviving that. They will both be smashed up on the highway, and that'll be the end of their story. So those are the things that I just didn't like that much about it. What you got on your head, my brother?
Elena Cole's hanging upside down. That's Danielle Deadwyler's character's name.
Yeah.
And she's in a seatbelt, and dude is choking the life out of her. She wakes up, and all she can flail at him is this. And then miraculously, she gets a hold of her service weapon and blows his head off.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't pass out. You didn't gasp.
They would have been dead. They would have been dead from getting into an accident on the expressway, driving 70 miles an hour with the car flipping over 8 times. Forget it. But what was your hate, my brother?
So the dark side is powerful. I like you. I just didn't believe the physicality of Jason Bateman, but more so, I just don't like him as a villain. I'm used to seeing him as identity thief, or with
isn't identity thief a villain?
No, he's the one who's being taken advantage of. She steals his identity, or horrible. Like, I'm used to him being like the funny guy. You know what I mean? Or even an Extract, with Mila Kunis. Like, I'm just used to him being the funny, the romantic comedy type joint. You know what I mean? I'm not used to him. And so even though he was a good villain as far as the mastermind and the brains, it just threw me off. But there you go, me being shallow again, typecasting cats. I've seen this movie before, and this will get to my hot take, but I've seen it before and I've seen it better. Shout out to Bruce Willis. Hope you're doing well with your health. And shout out to his family. The plot relies too much on convenience and coincidence.
Absolutely
CJ already mentioned this.
It breaks down.
When you start to think about it, this stuff starts to break down like, man, well, if they did this wouldn't happen.
Right.
You know, and again, I try to suspend reality, but this joint, because it's grounded in the whole, like, everything is centered around this plot device of this MacGuffin, this bomb, I'm just not buying. And the action scenes are just too subtle for my liking.
Yeah.
I want more action. I want more carnage, if you will. And this is a little too light on mine. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not hitting.
Yeah.
The resolution wrapped things up too quickly, too nice, too neat. I felt like it was like a 30-minute TV special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're like, oh, he's a cop now, and they had the child,
Yeah.
and everybody loves him. And in the same way the Marines were telling the guy to cut him slack when he was a TS agent, he's now reciprocating that with one of his former colleagues. Whatever.
Well, I wasn't even sure that trapping the nerve gas in that door was actually
don't even get me
100%
started.
gonna
That's
work.
airtight. That's airtight.
I thought everybody in that plane would have died there. Actually, like that.
That's my point.
And even whatever. It's
and he hops on the plane, a la Commando,
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger style, when he's getting off the plane through the same means.
Yeah.
Oh, the alarm goes off. Go check nobody goes to check.
I know.
The U.S. air marshals that are on every flight don't go.
This is a movie that you just gotta enjoy watching, Mr. Will. You just got listen, you get yourself some eggnog, right? With some really strong vodka in it. And then you just drink this till you pass out. You wake up, you watch it again. Netflix is like, are you still watching? You say yes.
Oh, yeah.
Click yes, you watch it. Then you're like, hey, pivot to the Diddy joint. Then you watch that and here we go, man. That's how it is, man. That's how it is. Let's get to the questions, man.
Let me just mention my last thing. The characters they're too underdeveloped. They're just used as plot devices. And all the actors and actresses that I named, I don't think that they were used properly or long enough.
Got it.
And that goes to the questions.
Okay, cool. Here, I got some questions for you. These are gonna be kind of light and quick and fast, man.
No doubt.
The first one, if you moved somewhere someone is, and then you get a job at their job, and then you to spend more time with them, isn't that stalking?
No, that is 1000% stalking.
Didn't he stalk his girlfriend into that situation? Like, isn't that what he did?
Kind of pathetic. It's kind of pathetic because you don't have anything going on for you. No, I don't.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Second, once the security guard died, would things have really continued business as usual from that point?
I'm not even gonna let you finish the sentence. No,
coworker died.
It wasn't just his coworker. He was one of the Leos,
right.
One of the specialized supervisors,
right?
And he told the supervisor,
right?
That was right. Dude, you mean to tell me that your mentor, your head guy dies and you're still on the floor?
Well, just the idea of somebody dying in an airport in broad daylight would have shut a lot of stuff. Like, they kind of like broke that tackle in like 20 minutes. And it was like, cool. Instead of going through lane 4, everybody just switched to lane 6 and everybody just kept going through.
CJ, let me tell you something from personal experience. I worked for a retailer one year. We had a colleague, unfortunately, tragically pass away. He was murdered.
In the store?
Literally outside the store. That's the day that so he left. I came in.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's up? How you doing? See you tomorrow. He died later on that day.
Wow.
The next day they offered services and everything. And we're talking about closing the store.
Yeah.
So if that's just a minor retailer, you mean to tell me that they're not going to do that with an airport?
Yeah. Was it Christmas Eve? Was it Christmas Eve though? Because that was the whole thing. I'm sorry. In this movie, nothing shut down because it was Christmas Eve. Like that.
No, which is crazy.
That's the other part. All right. When was the best earliest opportunity for Ethan to stop this plot?
Not putting the earplug in his. You just mean to tell me you randomly put earplugs? You see something in the little bucket thing, and you just putting it in your ear? I don't care anybody texting me, pick it up. I'm not picking it up.
How about that? Just ignore it. What happened?
Just ignore it. What happened to minding your own business?
Grand opening, grand closing. I was actually thinking about different points in the plot, but you're right. If you're just like, that's nasty, I'm not putting this in my ear.
I'm not putting it in my ear.
I don't know what's on this, right? How about that?
We get unidentified calls all the time. On my phone, I have a feature that says silent unknown calls.
How about that? That's a good one. Okay. That's good. All right. Last question. What was the traveler's biggest mistake? I mean, a lot, but what was the biggest one, man?
Getting too close and allowing him to know that he was close.
I agree with you. Yeah. If he had stayed further in the shadows, it probably would have went a little different for him.
It would have went off with no hit.
He allowed him to, he was overconfident.
That's because he kept saying, "You're my guy. You've coasted through life. You haven't done anything. The reason why you got here, you underestimated him."
Yeah, he did. That was good point. Good point. All right, man. Give me the questions, man. Give me the questions. Give me the
How
questions.
does Carry On use the airport setting to reflect modern anxieties about security, surveillance, and control?
Yo, it's a great question because when you're in an airport, you are so aware of all the ways your identity is being checked and like validated, like all through the thing. Like there's so many cameras everywhere. You know, now you see it like so many like, you know, Department of Transportation, Homeland Security messages. It really in a sense, it's trying to give you the illusion of being safe. But there's also this idea of like my identity is being ran through so many channels, all so many different data streams. Like, how is that safe? So, yeah, that's a good question, man. Because when I saw this question, it made me remind myself of like just how unnerving it is to actually be in an airport because you're constantly pulling out your ID, and if you Clear gets access to all your data, they're sharing your data with somebody else too.
That's why I'm wondering, what's the point of a passport anymore?
Guy, if you need to get to other countries, you want to get out.
But you're fingerprinted. You're literally fingerprinted already. Everybody's already in the system. One facial recognition scan. That's it. Fingerprint, facial recognition scan. You're already on. They've already.
Yeah.
You're not changing anymore.
But what if
You're
you
bone
like
struck.
what if you like the dude who was taking homeless people's identity, man? And you got your face. All right, what's the next, what's the next question, man?
Well, speaking of identity, how does the anonymity of the antagonist affect the tension and themes of the story?
It makes it good because it's like it puts you in Ethan's position, right? Ethan doesn't know who he's talking to. He doesn't know what the person's like, what they look like, only knows what they sound like. And you know, when you listen to somebody on the phone, you create what you think they look like, you know. I'm sure what Ethan finally saw was Jason Bateman. He was like, I could take this dude.
That's why he swung on him
Yeah,
all wild
yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah,
bathroom.
yeah. It was interesting because you're right. Like because Jason Bateman is intentional about meeting him in person, that's kind of when the allure kind of falls apart. But I think the best parts of the film are when they're talking to each other. Although I do see how it kind of hurts the dynamic once, you know, Ethan knows exactly who he's dealing with.
How does time pressure function as both a narrative device and as a psychological force on the main character?
Yeah, I love it, man, because like what was like they said in one battle after another, time is a false construct and yet it controls
Yeah.
us all. Like something along those lines. Yo, we all operate under some sort of deadline. Like we're like a pressure to get to somewhere, a pressure to leave somewhere on time, a pressure to get something done. So like the idea of whenever I love when movies create like a pressured time, especially when they honor that timeline. So it's like
Mhm.
there was a movie like 55 minutes or something, and it was actually a 55-minute movie or something, like everything that
Mm.
happened. I like stuff like that. So that part of it really worked because it grounds itself really in what your experience is. I think that's why people watch the film because it reminds them
Yeah.
of like, yeah, I've been in an airport. Yeah, I've had my girlfriend be threatened to kill, but yeah, whatever. Point is, most people can relate.
Does Carry On ultimately prioritize personal survival over collective safety, or does it attempt to balance the two?
It's trying to balance the two, but you know, the question is, if you knew that something was going to happen that was going to kill 250 people, and on the other side was one person you loved, would you let the one person you love live to have 250 people die? Like that's the real moral question. And it does the movie, like, you know, like you said before, puts a nice bow on it and wraps it up. But that's kind of like the real thing there, because you know, he's definitely not Captain America. Because Captain America, well, he is, because Captain America would have saved his girlfriend and let the rest of the world go down the tubes like he did in Infinity War. That's a story for another day. We'll cover Infinity War. We'll cover Infinity War some other time. Yo, man, what you got on the boxes of popcorn for this, man?
Man, I'm going with a solid 3. You
Yeah,
know, it's not a bad movie.
yeah.
It's not a great movie. If you're killing time and you want something to pop in, you know, on the screen real quick, even as background noise, or you happen to like Jason Bateman,
Mhm.
I recommend you throw it on.
Yeah, Jason Bateman is like the avatar of Netflix. Like, you
Mhm.
know, like how there's like always like one actor that kind of ends up being on so many products of one platform. Like,
Yeah.
you know, what's my man's name from The Wire who played
Idris Elba, Woody,
the one who passed away?
oh, So
You know what I'm thinking about. He played Omar on The Wire.
yeah, Michael Williams, um,
Yeah.
is I don't
You know what
know.
I'm saying? But, he
Yeah,
became like the person I may be looking at while I was saying it. He became the guy who was on so many different HBO programs. Like
yeah,
he was on The Wire, then he was on Lovecraft County, then he was on a couple other things. That's who Jason Bateman is for Netflix. Like he's been in a couple things. I like him in the film. Like I said, I'll give it 3.5 too. It's not great. It's a fun holiday watch.
Michael Kenneth Williams. I
That's it.
know I was
Michael
right.
Kenneth Williams. So shout outs to him and rest in
Yeah,
power to
rest in power.
him as
Yeah,
well. Um,
great act.
yep. All right, man. Yo, here's my hot take. It's quick and simple. Yo, this film is why you and your family members need a safety word. You need something that
I like that.
in a situation, because if he could have just picked up his phone when everything happened and like send a message that said like, Colin Kaepernick, and his girlfriend knew Colin Kaepernick means there's danger, there's trouble. Boom, this whole thing ends sooner. You got to have those safety precautions, especially now. Like just for you
Yeah.
and your family, you got to have those protocols in place, because the whole movie is really relying on you don't know where someone is and that person is in danger, and you can't let them know they're in danger. And you don't have always the time to pick up the phone to send a long text message. But if you got a safe word, this is when you need it.
Not only that, but the whole thing about impersonating somebody, their voice due to AI or whatever have
Got to
you.
have something. Yeah. Got to
Yeah,
have
no,
something else.
definitely.
Yeah.
All seriousness, yeah.
Yep.
No, definitely.
Yep. What you got, my man?
Definitely. Basically, this is the poor man's / millennials version of Die Hard.
It is. No
And not
question.
necessarily a good or bad thing, just different.
Yep.
And not for what people might say or think. This generation, they want to have the least amount of carnage and ensure that people are safe
Mhm.
and secure. They
How
want to
about
try and
that?
outthink you. They want to have more luxuries and the conveniences readily available to them. Whereas with Die Hard, we find ourselves saying, hey, you know what? Grit, determination, and plenty of guns and bullets
Mhm.
and muscles will get you through anything. And that's not necessarily the case here. This guy is using his guile, his cunningness to try and outsmart, and not even that. The villain is also smart. Jason Bateman is also intelligent because they do their background checks. They
Everything.
know everything about the individuals in question, the scheduling,
Yeah.
family members. They got a whole team of individuals in place to kidnap and coerce these individuals to doing what they want at their beckoning and will. However, the reality is that, precarious jobs, constant monitoring, and the fear that one wrong decision could ruin everything is very real. There are no do-overs. There is no time machine. There is no rewind button. So you got to make these decisions on the go in real life. And you're dealing with an antagonist who doesn't storm the building with guns. He's manipulating people through technology, anonymity, leverage, and feels distinctly modern.
Yeah.
A new type of hero. CJ and I have talked about this before, how there is no more Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Mhm.
Bruce Willis, Bruce Lee,
Sylvester
name them.
Stallone. Yeah.
Well,
That
yeah.
kind of hero. Yeah.
Even Jason Statham's got a new movie coming out, but it doesn't get the same fanfare as before. Now you have these individuals like a Rami Malek, like Egerton. You have Taron Egerton and the ilk of that nature,
Mhm.
resuming these roles that were once Tom Cruise oriented and dominated.
Mhm.
You may have remnants here and there, but for the most part, there aren't that many Jack Reachers.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why the Batman, with, ironically enough, the star from Twilight taking on that mantle, and the reason why these movies that CJ and I had the debate about with Netflix versus the movie are even a thing right now.
Mhm. True indeed. And talking about Batman, great segue into next week. So next week we're continuing with our Christmas movies, or movies that take place at Christmas time. We're coming back, man. Batman Returns. And I gotta tell you, I'm looking forward to that, man. I haven't watched that in a while. That is a really,
You and me both.
really interesting one to check out, man. So once again, the Sticky Floors podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify Podcasts. We are on YouTube Podcasts. Who knows? One day we might be on Netflix Podcasts as well. And we are pushing to,
Holler at us.
we're pushing to get as many subscribers as we can. Please subscribe so that way when our drops come out, whether it's the whole video or the clip or the whole podcast, you get it. We will see you next week. Peace.